This is GoPowercat.com publisher Tim Fitzgerald. Thank you for listening to this Powercat podcast. Make sure you never miss an episode of the Powercat podcast by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, or your favorite podcast network. And if you enjoy this podcast, please consider becoming a subscriber to GoPowercat.com. We cover the Wildcats like no one else, with our VIP customers enjoying one-of-a-kind coverage from our team of professional journalists. And sign up today for an annual subscription to GPC and grab a 30% discount on your first year. And now here's the Powercat Podcast.
The following is a GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street production. You've discovered your link to GoPowercat.com's Powercat Sources Podcast, presented by Blue Mark Energy, and it starts right now. Now, let's go to the WTC Gig-Powered Studios. Here's your host, GoPowercat.com publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to the Sources Podcast, your Tuesday Powercat podcast brought to you by GoPowercat.com, as we take you inside K-State sports by letting you hear from the people that know K-State sports the best. And the Sources Podcast is sponsored by Blue Mark Energy. Does your company or employer spend $4,000 or more a year on energy bills? Would you like to reduce those costs by 25% or more and maintain the same level of service and reliability? If so, it's time to speak with Blue Mark Energy. Blue Mark Energy, K-State owned and K-State proud. Here's what we got on tap for today. We're going to take you back to Starkville so you can hear from Chris Klieman and Skylar Thompson. But we're going to start off with Chris Klieman in Starkville, and then take you to Tuesday's press conference in Manhattan. Let's go back to Saturday following Kansas State's 31-24 victory over number 23 Mississippi State on the road.
What a great game, and what a great finish by our guys. I was so proud and pleased with the effort our guys had. It wasn't perfect. We knew it wasn't going to be perfect. We were going to face a bunch of adversity, and that's what we talked about all week long was, attack the adversity you face. Don't panic. Keep believing in each other. Rise up and make plays when you have the opportunity. And then in the fourth quarter, we made some big plays, and obviously the kick return got us jump-started after we were struggling a little bit. And then the defense had some great stops, and an excellent drive capped off by a touchdown with Dalton. And so pleased with guys just never quit. It was hot out there, guys, and we played a ton of bodies, and we had guys cramping up, but the guys finished the game, and that was the one thing we talked about. We needed to finish, and they did that. The guys were really excited about playing this game. Our D-line played exceptionally well, and so happy for those guys. A bunch of seniors up there, and we did this without Wyatt Hubert. And so, the guys like Kyle Ball and Reggie and Massey, those guys played really, really well at end. And then all the D tackles. Jordan Mitty's a stud, and he made plays. Dishon made plays. Everybody made plays, and we had to against a terrific running back because it was hard to just slow him down. We can't have what happened on punt return, but it happened, and those kids are trying to make a play. And A.J. Parker's trying to make a play. Guy put his hat on the football. Maybe that's part of the game. That's football. They fumbled one, and we got it right back and scored a touchdown as well. You want to try to minimize those things, but you can't let them destroy you. If you have adversity and you tank, that it destroys you. Our guys better be galvanized when adversity strikes and say, okay, we're going to find a way to get a stop. So I was pleased with the guys. Nobody panicked on the sideline during any of those situations.
How good was Skylar today?
I thought he was really good. We didn't get enough possessions in the second half, partly by our own doing, but he was fighting some cramping too, and I thought he did a great job of staying calm under a lot of pressure, because I think we were running the football pretty successfully in the first half, and I think they, in the second half, decided, hey, we're going to find a way to bring pressure, and they did a good job. He kind of lives for those moments, and he's prepared for that moment, and we put him in those stressful situations at practice so that he can be calm in those moments with all the cowbells and stuff that we had at practice and the noise, and it didn't bother us and didn't affect him. We just, like I said, we didn't get enough possessions in the second half, I didn't think, but there were some things just listening to Mess and talking to Mess and to Colin that we liked, and one of them was the bootleg, because of us running so much to the tight end side that they were starting to creep up, that if we could run the bootleg, we thought Dalton could get in behind him, just trying to get it called. And that was the thing that we finally got a situation where we were able to call it. But Skylar played great that last drive for sure. Through 3 weeks, a group of guys that believe in each other, a group of guys that love each other, a group of guys that will go battle for each other, and a group of guys that stick with each other when adversity strikes. You know, I said this to Wyatt up there. It's about the guys. It's about the entire program, the coaching staff. It's never going to be about me. I was just happy for our team, happy for our coaches. This was a team win, and I was so excited for all of us. Happy that they were able to go on the road and get a really tough victory. We knew that this was going to be a 4-quarter affair. We knew this was going to be a difficult thing. And I'm a big believer in whatever we did last week has no bearing on the next week. Whatever we do this week, we're going to enjoy it. It's got no bearing on next week. Thank God we don't play so that we can get our chance to get some guys healthy. But it's not going to have any bearing on what our next game is at Oklahoma State. And it's 12 one-week seasons, guys. And we've played 3 of them right now. And like I said to you guys last week, and we better not fall in love with ourselves. We got a long ways to go. We got a lot of work to do, but the guys believe, and the guys are understanding our routine so much better. They know what to expect on a Monday practice. They know what to expect on a Thursday practice. They know what to expect at a pregame meal. Those are the things that we're trying to get going so that the guys feel comfortable to just cut it loose on Saturday and have a blast with their brothers.
That ended with our D. Scott Fritchen asking about Skylar Thompson, Kansas State's quarterback, and now we speed ahead to Tuesday's press conference in the Veneer Complex. And once again, we'll let Fritch wind it up asking about Skylar.
Well, good afternoon. Looking back on Saturday, a number of things stuck out. Obviously, the first thing is we got a huge road win for our program and for the guys, and I thought that was an exceptional win. However you get it, obviously it wasn't perfect. I thought we started the game really well, and I thought we finished the game really well. In between, obviously, had some hiccups, had some issues. The great thing when you have success and win, I think sometimes it's easier to go back and challenge the guys and say, hey, we have to improve, and we know we have to improve and get a lot better. I think offensively, a couple things stuck out that we need to improve upon would be perimeter blocking, and it's not just wide receivers, it's offensive linemen, tight ends, running backs, because we have to be able to get the edge, and we've got to do a better job out there. And then obviously we weren't as good on third down as we'd been in the past, and I think part of that is we were in a lot more third and long situations. On defense, you know, our tackling still has to improve. I think Hill's a phenomenal running back, and he made us, you know, earn every hit. But we have to continue to improve upon tackling. And then, you know, the sudden change aspect on defense, we talk a lot about that when a sudden change happens off a turnover or something, you have to be able to respond. And, you know, we didn't respond the first time when we fumbled a punt and they scored a touchdown. And then probably the disappointing one was we intercept a pass, they make a good play, strip the ball, and then they take it 79 yards after that to score. So we've got to get better on sudden change. And then obviously in special teams, can't have a penalty, which we had on a good return, and then we have to field punts. Something that we talked about at length yesterday and Sunday, and something we have to do a better job. And it's guys trying to make a play. I'm not making excuses for them. They're trying to make a play, and they got to understand the situation. And the number one thing we have to do on a punt return is get possession back for our offense. So we'll clean those errors up. We have this week that we're going to spend an awful lot of time on ourselves and continue to improve upon some of the things that we're working on, as well as work a lot of younger guys into some, not necessarily roles, but put them into some situations because they haven't gotten a chance to really play much with the conference or with the non-conference schedule we've had.
This may be a silly question, but how do you keep this team hungry after a big win?
Well, I think the things I just talked about, that we're not clicking on all cylinders. I believe that we have to stay humble and stay hungry, not be seduced by the success that we have had. That those guys see it, they watch film and say, boy, we really could play a lot better on this phase offensively or this phase defensively. And, I was frustrated because I think if we field the punt, we maybe go in 13-0, 17-0, and maybe it's a different game, and that was a huge momentum. And that's the other thing is, just managing the ebbs and flows of games is something that we've got to continue to improve upon.
Given that the Big 12 is quite a bit different from the non-conference games you faced so far, is there any one thing you'll emphasize in the next 2 weeks to get ready for that?
not any one thing. We'll spend more time on Oklahoma State just because we have, that's the next game in front of us, and we have at least some film on those guys, and they haven't had the most competitive games in the non-conference, but there's still some things we can work on. So, that's probably where our focus will go after we work on ourselves.
Is this a situation a little bit like the start of the season when you had a little extra time for Nichols to make sure your guys got off to a good, solid foundation start in the non-conference, and now you can replicate that in the conference?
You can't replicate it totally simply because we didn't know anything, just like you guys didn't know prior to Nicholls State of what you were going to see from Kansas State. So now that we do know a little bit about our team, through 3 games, okay, here's the things we have to work on. Forget who we're playing. Here's the things we have to get better on, whether that's the perimeter blocking, tackling, a certain aspect of special teams, whatever it may be. We have to work on that part, but then absolutely push forward and say, okay, now let's do some scouting, let's do some scout work on our next opponent.
How would you assess Skylar's body of work through the non-conference, and where can he get better?
I think his body of work has been exceptional in the fact that he's done the number one thing we asked him to do, and that's take care of the football and lead the team and put us in excellent situations. In the first half, I thought he did a great job, and the thing that I think he's getting so comfortable with is seeing a picture and changing a play. Because of the fact we're a huddle team and he's getting the call from Coach Mess, implements the call, comes to the line of scrimmage. If there's certain things that we don't like, he has the ability to change those plays, and he's doing a great job of seeing those pictures. And that's the thing that I think he will continue to improve upon, is just seeing more pictures, seeing more coverages, seeing more pressure looks within our structure of our offense. And that's something that it's probably a never-ending battle that you're always trying to improve upon, but that's what I know that we would like him to continue to work on.
Now let's go back to Saturday once again and speak with Skylar Thompson. Here was K-State's junior quarterback speaking right after Saturday's victory.
I'm a loss for words. Walking out that, it was just amazing to be around some of the guys that I've been with through this program that are in my grade, Denzel Goolsby and Trey Dishon, Reggie Walker, that senior class. I was talking at the hotel last night, and my main message was like, I'm tired of people disrespecting us and not giving us the respect that we deserve. But in saying that, we have to go earn it. We've had 3 non-con games in Power 5 conferences the past 3 years and lost, and have lost by a good margin. And I was like, it's time to put Kansas State back on the map, and I felt like this was a great opportunity for us. And I knew I had so much confidence going into this game that we could win. I believed, our whole team believed. Whenever we were down, we faced some adversity, had some turnovers on some special teams, and just some things not go our way. Nobody panicked. We rallied together. We came together as one, played for one another, and it didn't matter. We knew we were going to win. Like that was our mindset, and it was led by Coach Klieman. He told us on Monday we're going to go beat this team, and nobody's giving us a chance. Nobody's, talking about coming from North Dakota State. Have you guys ever coached on this type of level before? All this, that stuff is just white noise, and we knew that we needed to have a great week of practice and come out here and execute. And I feel like for the most part we did today. We were kind of there in the second half, not on the field very often. We had that 3 and out, and they had a long drive that went and scored. But like I said, I'm just so proud of this team. I'm so proud of this team. It was so awesome to get a win for these seniors. I knew how much it meant to guys like Reggie Walker and Tyler Mitchell, guys that are from this area, having so much family in town. And I was playing for those guys, and oh man, I'm thankful. I'm so thankful and blessed. I've came a long way, and I know this is just the beginning. I'm not satisfied. This team's not satisfied. We're hungry for more. We're gonna rest up on this bye week and get better, and we're gonna go into Big 12 play with a lot of confidence and just continue to play K-State football. I think we've established our mojo of our identity and how we're gonna run things. And we just got to stick to that and trust one another. I think the best thing about this football team is that there's no selfish players on this team. Nobody cares about the individual stuff. We just want to win, and we've lacked that in ways the past couple of years. So I'm just so thankful. I'm so thankful and blessed. This is one of the most fun games I've had. And after the end of the Bowling Green game last week in the fourth quarter, I got in there with the O-line and the running backs and was just like, man, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go in a dogfight with somebody. Like I'm tired of beating teams like this and not playing a full game. I'm ready to go fight and go battle with somebody. So we were there in the fourth quarter. We were down, and we had that kick return. And I just got in the huddle and told those guys, like, this is what we've worked for. This is what you guys have worked for your whole life for opportunities like this. This is the time where we go shine. This is time where it all pays off. And I know that we've worked harder than the people across from us. I know that we've sacrificed more. We've been through so much. Like it's time to go make all this worth it. And everybody just rallied together and told each other we loved each other, and we went and fought for each other. And that's one of the best moments I've had playing football my entire life. You can just tell how much everybody loves each other and wants to go win for each other, and it says a lot about our football team.
And a few days later, here is what Skylar Thompson had to say to the media on Tuesday.
Coach Klein, before the game, every game, he always tells me that your best is always good enough. And I think that says it all. It's just like I'm going to go out there and do my very best and express who I am, the type of leader, type of person, and the passion that I have for football and for life in general, and just show my raw emotion and just have fun. It's so much fun. Even in the midst of the moment of versus Mississippi State when we were down, like there wasn't ever a doubt in my mind that we were going to lose. If that makes any sense. Where in years past with a game with having much special teams turnovers and we had some things not go our way, it felt like in years past we may have found a way to just lose that game. There's been so many games in the years past that I've came home and Denzel and JD and I, who I live with, have talked about, man, like we were better than that team, we should have won. And this was the first time that we came home from a road game and we're like, man, like we had things not go our way today. We faced so much adversity, but we found a way to win. And there was never any doubt, with our coaching staff, people on the sideline, like we knew we were going to win. And that's the expectation here at K-State, and what Coach Klieman has instilled since the day that he's gotten here, and that's just very contagious. And when you're out there playing for the person next to you, and not playing for yourself, playing for your coaches, like that makes it fun. And kind of just talking about like what I have in a couple weeks, checking a play and seeing me checking a play, spring James for a touchdown. Like that stuff is like, that makes it fun, man, because it's just pure execution across the board from our O-line, James teeing the hole and hitting it and going and scoring, or a guy going and catch the ball, making a great catch like Malik and Shone and all our receivers have done. And then Malik make that play on a kick return. Like that stuff is fun, man. Like I just love seeing my teammates excel and see their, I'm with them every day. We've grinded and had some hard times in the summer together, and to see it pay off for those guys that's what makes me happy. That's what makes it fun. And I think that's the definition of this football team is there's no selfish play, and people want to see everybody do well and excel. So we just got to continue to keep having that mindset as we go forward, and just continue to focus on K-State football. Like there's a lot of white noise going on about us getting a national ranking and starting 3-0 for the first time in a while and beating the SEC team on the road. Like there's a lot of stuff, and which is deserved. We've deserved that, but at the same time, like we have to be able to deal with that and know how to channel that in the right way, and just to continue to get better.
Great stuff from Coach Klieman and Skylar Thompson. And now let's get in a couple more quick interviews. The Go Powercat staff kind of teamed up here with defensive tackle Trey Dishon.
Oh, we're pumped. I think we have, really good momentum and a good mindset going into Big 12 play. after the first two opponents, you know, getting our hands on a good opponent in the SEC and performing well, you know, we still have some stuff to clean up, but I think we're happy where we're sitting.
You guys are top 20 in both scoring defense and total defense. You figure yourself to be maybe the best defense in the Big 12 this season?
That's our goal. I mean, we take it one week at a time, and I think that's what's making us great right now. But at the end, I think you'll see us up there.
What would you analyze your first 3 games of this season? How have you graded out in your eyes?
Personally?
Yeah, just you.
I felt like the first 2 games were a little bit slow for me. And they always have been in the past years with the first 2 opponents, just because, you know, maybe those opponents don't want to, like, they try to take our D-line out of the game, get the ball out quick, not much big on the inside run game, you know. So I feel like those were hard for me. I graded out fine, but, you know, I'm not playing a lot. But this last game, I felt very happy. I feel like I missed a sack or 2. I could have made a couple more plays here and there, but looking back after watching film, I'm pretty happy with.
Have you approached this season in each game with kind of a dominating mindset? You're going to dominate in the front 4?
Yeah, for sure. And going into this last game and going on from here, talking to the defensive line guys, I was like, you know, when we get a good opponent, and I feel like we played our ability better. You know, we're not playing to our opponent's ability, our opponent's you know, difficulty level. But I'm pretty happy about that. As long as we can keep that going, we play to our own.
You look like you were there for potential cleanup possibility on what's been known as a helicopter play.
Yeah.
Describe what you saw.
You know, I really didn't see anything. I should have been out there for contain. Got held up a little bit inside, but once we were running out there and I saw those guys coming, I just remember, like, when he was up in the air, I remember looking, and I was like, where did he go? And I look up, and he's, like, right there. So if you look, they look at the facial reactions of what people are seeing, and my eyes are just like this, and everybody's like this. It's because I just didn't see him yet. I didn't see him up there yet, and I seen him as it came down. He's trying to reach out the ball. Yeah, he was short, but he was close. I mean, the fourth and 16, 4th and 13, something like that, scrambling that far. I mean, he was close.
How does that kind of epitomize what the defense is about, and it's able to make the stops this year?
I think it's ran by Elijah Sullivan, and he was the one in on the hit. You know, he's always going to be in the right place at the right time, and if I'm ever seeing a big hit, I'm always thinking Eli's around there or he's making it. Mm-hmm. So I think it comes from Eli Sullivan.
And we bring this first segment to a close with my quick interview with senior tight end Blaise Gammon.
How fun was that Saturday?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, just so much preparation and build up to a game like that, and getting there and performing like we did and coming out with a win through a lot of adversity. I mean, that's just what you do it for.
How challenging is it to play tight end in this system? You've got to learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you know, we got to be able to do a lot of different stuff on and off the ball, know a lot of shifts, trades, and motion. And I think that was the biggest thing with the new system was getting all the terminology and the playbook down, so we didn't have to really think. We could just go out and do it and be ready to perform.
How weird is it when you have to line up as a fullback?
It's different for sure. You know,
you're a big guy, a tall guy to be a fullback.
Not too many 6'7" fullbacks, But no, I mean it's something that they need me to do sometimes and switch up. You know, we have a handful of guys that can play fullback, but sometimes when you have 2 tight ends and 1 in the backfield, they'll give us some different looks for it. So we have to be ready to do all different things on and off the ball.
What's been the most difficult thing to adapt to with this offense?
I would say it is just the movements, and then, you know, getting into position, and once you're in your alignment, knowing your role from that play and getting your assignment down with that. You know, a lot of the normal zone power principles carried over from our other offense, but you just had to put different names to it and use little different intricacies here and there with it.
It looks like to me this is a fun offense to be part of.
Yeah, we're having fun and we're really excited. You know, I think we have a lot of confidence, and we're looking forward to keeping it rolling. You know, with the bye week, we're we're trying to just continue to get better and better, get ready for Oklahoma State. You know, it's going to be a great game, another great atmosphere, and we just got to be ready to roll.
So far, best case scenario, 3-0, end of the bye week. How excited are you to get into Big 12 play now?
Yeah, we're really excited. Like you said, it gives a great feeling going in 3-0 rather than 2-1, anything like that. A lot of confidence, a lot of excitement going into it, and a feeling we haven't had for a little while. I know this is my 5th season. We haven't been 3-0 since back in 2015. So we're really excited. We're looking forward to the rest of the season and Big 12 play getting started.
That's it for the first half of this week's Sources podcast, sponsored by Blue Mark Energy. On the other side of this brief break, it's myself and Travis Tannahill talking about that win over Mississippi State and where this positions your Kansas State Wildcats.
Stay locked in. The Powercat Podcast will be right back.
So I'm a father of one. I got to find a babysitter. I found Care.com and I was blown away. Through the platform, I was able to find local and experienced candidates along with their reviews and rates, which were way more affordable than I anticipated. Care.com really put me at ease knowing that they were all required to go through a background check. If you're like me and you need to find someone reliable for your childcare necessities, check out Care.com. Find the ideal sitters for your childcare needs.
Diets and workouts, you've done the work, so why can't you get to your goal weight? That's because up to 70% of your weight is predetermined by your genetics. So while you've been told that it's all about your willpower, you're actually fighting your biology. Don't do it alone. Found's Doctor Design program uses medication as part of a treatment plan that targets your body's unique biological needs, so that your body works with you and not against you. Take the quiz at joinfound.com to see if Found's weight loss program is right for you.
We now send it back to Fitz in the WTC Gig-Powered Studios.
Welcome back to the Powercat Sources Podcast, sponsored by Blue Mark Energy. Blue Mark Energy is a natural gas products and services provider serving feed yards, hospitals, hotels, manufacturers, and school districts throughout the Midwest. And Blue Mark Energy is the natural gas provider for the Kansas State campuses in Manhattan and Salina. Blue Mark Energy, K-State owned and K-State proud. Well, it's week 2 of bringing in a former player. But this one's no stranger. This is Travis Tannahill, part of the Sample, one of our VIP shows at Go Powercat. They get to sample alcohol. I'm jealous. Last week we had Keith and Valentine. He was great. He's such a nice guy.
He is. How's he doing?
He's doing great.
Doing all right?
He's got this weird work schedule where he's like gone because he's railroad, and that's just a weird life. But he's gone for a week, and then he's home for a week.
Yeah, it's not a bad life. I might sign up for that.
My wife would love that.
Yeah.
Could you be gone for a week and then gone for a week? No, honey, I'll actually be home. Well, I tell you what, buddy. If you would have told me K-State would win at Mississippi State, I would have said, don't believe you. And then if you told me, plus they're going to make a whole bunch of mistakes and give Mississippi State 24 points, I'm like, you've been sampling too much. That was remarkable. The most remarkable thing wasn't they won. It's just how they won. They just persisted through all of their own calamity and found a way to win.
I'd agree. I mean, we both talked before the game, and pretty much all the K-State fans who were a little bit in the know kind of agreed that if they are to pull off this game, they're going to have to play a near perfect game. Skylar's going to have to play perfect. Defense is going to have to play really well. We're probably going to have to get a couple balls to bounce our way.
Right.
And like you said, that's not at all what happened. We did not play that great in certain areas of the game, key areas of the game. We had a few mishaps, but thankfully, I still think the biggest. Mississippi State did not play great at the quarterback position, and I think that's probably the. I think if they get good quarterback play, they probably win that game. So I think that's probably the biggest thing that happened that I was not expecting to happen was that poor play from the Mississippi State quarterback position.
Well, you're right. Tommy Stevens had the injured shoulder. They can say that was the shoulder that was the problem. I think K-State rattled him. I think they got to him, and he was worried about that shoulder. But once he got hit a few times, he's like, "Oh, I've been hit very much. This is not what I had and then he was overthrowing everything at that point. Then they went to the freshman who got off to a good start, and Garrett Schrader, who apparently can fly. Once he settled in, K-State figured him out, and they knew he was run first, and he didn't pass the ball that well. I would like to give partial credit to the K-State defense, but you're right. I think if they get good quarterback play, they probably win the game, because when Schrader came in, he was good, and they went down the field and scored.
Right, and with Stevens there, I think he did get rattled a little bit. I think too, it's so nice to see this K-State defense, the cornerback, especially the cornerback position. I mean, they're challenging him at the line of scrimmage, and they're challenging him and those wide receivers, and it's just such a different style of defense than we've seen. And, we saw it the first 2 games from Coach Hazelton that's what the defense strategy was going to be. But that's easy to do when you're probably more athletic than the guy across the ball.
Right. Where
Mississippi State team, as athletic or maybe slightly more athletic at the wide receiver cornerback position. So it was really nice to see, they manned up and they manned up, mentally and physically. And, the analogy there of they manned them up in coverage, and they manned up and played great defense. So
it's a more aggressive pre-snap posture, which doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be more aggressive post-snap, but I think it puts the defenders in a better frame of mind. I mean, in the past few years, number of years, the way K-State played defense, it was just so passive. And that's not how you can play defense. That's just not the nature of the job. Even though they were pretty good, they did bend but don't break as well as anyone I've ever seen.
They did.
I mean, because they bent a lot and gave up a manageable amount of points.
Right.
But now K-State is going to take a few more chances, but it's really about the calculation of those chances. And I thought Scotty Hazelton did a marvelous job of knowing when to go after him and when not. And, even though Kylan Hill ended up with more than 100 yards, it didn't feel that way.
Exactly.
He didn't break a big run.
He seemed frustrated.
He didn't break a big one. He wasn't in the end zone. So I was really impressed with the K-State defense, even more so than the offense, because they were put in some lousy situations and, for the most part, did a good job.
No, I'd agree. And even, if you're a quarterback going against K-State defense and they're playing soft, you're going to have some huge windows to throw that ball into, which gives you confidence as a quarterback.
Oh, yeah.
And so you're just seeing these wide open windows. And, it might be for 7 yards, but, catch the ball, turn around, fall forward for 10, and there's first down. Where if you're playing man-to-man, even if you get beat by 2 yards, that window's smaller than a soft zone window.
Right.
And so that forces that quarterback to place it in there, which then leads to errant throws, drop passes. At the end of the day, it's just called – this isn't the pros. The guys aren't that crisp. They don't catch every single pass. They don't throw perfect balls every single time. So, that quarterback, even if the receiver's open, that quarterback still has to throw a good ball. The wide receiver still has to catch it. And even if they do, we can still come up and make a tackle, and we're still in the same spot as we were playing soft defense. So
I agree.
I like the mentality Coach Hazelton's got those guys playing with.
The offensive mentality is so aggressive, not in play calling, but in physicality. They've got that offensive line, which has always been good. I mean, you had to have a good offensive line to do what Coach Snyder wanted to do, and yet Connor Riley's taking it to a new level. They're mean, and they're getting downfield, and they're leaning on people, and they're making contact. If you look at the stats, K-State didn't run the ball well. But if you watch the game, K-State ran the ball effectively. Mm-hmm. They did what they wanted to do. They forced Mississippi State to continue to worry about the run, worry about the run, worry about the run. And then on the last touchdown of the game, play action, someone bit, and Dalton Schoen's wide open. That was a passing touchdown, but in the bigger sense, it was because of all that running. It's fun football to watch if you love the art, the science of football.
It is, and the biggest thing I've noticed with the run game is it seemed like in years past they needed, they would call a play, they'd check out of it. They wanted to be in the perfect run play. They wanted to have the numbers advantage. They wanted to change plays and make sure they had that advantage, which is great. And it seems like a little more this year we might not have the numbers advantage, but we're just going to move you. Like, that's okay. Mm-hmm. And I remember kind of having that mentality as a player was, I'd get up to the line and be like, numbers aren't great. They should probably check out of this. Where I feel like now it's numbers aren't great. We don't care. Yeah. We're going to move them off the ball, and it's going to be, we're going to be able to move you farther than you move us. And we don't necessarily need the angles, and that's a great mentality to have against a very stout, big SEC defensive line. So, no, I agree with you that, and we both knew Coach Dickey pretty well, and he did an unbelievable, amazing job. And that was probably the one position coach that I was the saddest to see leave, just from a personal standpoint, and the most worried from a football standpoint. I was like, ooh, Coach Dickey was a really, really good coach. Who's this Coach Riley guy? And he's come in and far exceeded my expectations, because I expected that to be a little bit of a drop just because of how high the ceiling was, and I don't think we got to drop it all with Coach Riley.
Yeah, Coach Dickey's one of the nicest people.
He's the best.
And great football coaches you'll ever meet. I'm glad he's doing well at Oklahoma State.
Well, not for next game. But.
Yeah, exactly. You can suck in that game, but other than that, be good. Connor Riley, though, it was essential to what Chris Klieman wanted to do. That as much as he's a defensive guy, he knew having Courtney Messingham running this offense and Connor Riley building that offensive line and the image they want, had to have it. I mean, it's like, I can handle the defense even if my coordinator sucks. You guys have to.
I need to bring in good offensive minds.
and it works really well. This offensive line is getting upfield, blocking more. They really are trying to reach upfield, but they come at you when they pull. They're coming at you at weird angles. And I heard I don't know who the color analyst was on the game, but he really said something really smart about what they do. They run to where the defender's supposed to be.
Right.
Because the running back's coming through there, and you saw Tyler Mitchell pick up a linebacker 5-10 yards down the field, because the linebacker went right to where Tyler Mitchell was going, and it was beautiful to watch.
Yeah, and that's a telltale sign of an experienced offensive line. I mean, when you first get there, it's who the heck am I supposed to block, and what's the snap count, and that's all you're really worried about when you're a young sophomore or a freshman out there. But once you have enough snaps, you're obviously you can figure out the snap count. That's easy. That's second nature. You know who you're supposed to block, and then you also know who the guy next to you is supposed to block, who the fullback's supposed to block, and then so that kind of helps you with your angles. And that really, once you can learn, okay, not just my position, not just the 5 offensive lineman position, but even like who's the wide receiver going to get? Is he going to come off and get the safety? So if this ball breaks out, is it going to break out right or break out left? Once you have a veteran offensive line, those things go through their mind. And so that really, makes a huge difference once they can get to that level, which I think they are.
This team won this game at Mississippi State because they were better along the lines, period. I mean, they outscored them. I mean, that's important, but they committed more turnovers. They had less yardage. They just go down the list of things that should indicate winning. And at the end of the day, it was controlling the line of scrimmage. They were so much more physical than a Mississippi State team that 1 year ago came in here and completely clowned Kansas State.
No, exactly. I know we're talking about the O-line now, and they did do a great job. But going back to what we said a few minutes ago, I mean, I really think the O-line played great, but our defensive line, I think, played far and above what I expected them to play,
particularly without Wyatt Hubert.
Probably without arguably our best defensive lineman out there. So.
Yep. Jordan Mitty was incredible. Trey Dishon was impactful. He made some big plays.
Finally got to the quarterback.
Mm-hmm. That guy can move for someone his size.
Shoot,
it's kind of funny to watch.
Who are you talking about?
Trey Dishon.
Okay, Dishon. I was like, Kyle Ball. He's not. I thought we were talking about switching over to Ball. Yeah, which Kyle Ball is just another Ryan Mueller out there.
It's incredible.
Both number 44.
It's like he's been cloned.
It's like, who? Wait, I played with that. No, you're still different guy. Same jersey number. Same style of player.
Same build.
Same motor.
Yep.
It's fun to see.
Yeah, it really is fun to watch. Well, Kansas State's 3-0 as they head into an off week. How important is this off week?
I mean,
or do you want to line up and go play?
I can see both ways. I mean, they're on such a high right now, and it might be nice to take a little breather. Get these guys, and we've heard Coach Klieman say it a couple times now. It's like we better not fall in love with ourselves.
I love that line.
Yeah, and I think, they'll go back and watch that film, and if they would have lost that game, that would have been they're going to throw up during film session, kind of film session, because there are plenty of mistakes to clean up and plenty of errors. And they played hard, and they did some nice things, but there are plenty of errors on both sides of the ball that they need to clean up. So to have a nice little 2 weeks here to prepare for a game, I think going into Big 12 play, I think that's going to be super valuable for them, just because there's quite a few errors to pick up emotionally. The first game of the year was probably a little more emotional than it probably normally is, along with the second game, and then a big on the road SEC battle. So I think emotionally they might need a little bit of a recoup the batteries.
Yeah, I do.
Me too.
I do.
We were joking. Got to go back to work Monday to rest up. I'm exhausted.
I know. I talked to my mother tonight, Sunday night, and she goes, "You and Brian Hanley sounded giddy on that podcast after the game." I go, "It's fun. This is a lot of fun because not only because they're winning, but this is a fun brand of football.
It is.
All around fun, except for special teams when they're dropping balls." Malik Knowles, my goodness, this kid's a redshirt freshman, and he did something in this game that the great K-State players have done, the David Allens and Tyler Lockett's and Andre Coleman's. Oh, we're going to lose this game. Nope, I got it.
Yep.
Here's a return, touchdown. Now they're going to win.
Yeah, no, he's turning into the go-to guy for Skylar on offense, and then obviously he's got the speed and the athleticism to be a huge asset on special teams. So did you remember? Did he get his 4 games in last year? I would assume so.
Yeah, he played 4.
Did he do much in those? I don't.
He was okay.
Okay, yeah, I don't remember him being off the charts
okay.
in those 4 games. So yeah, So I assumed he got his 4 games in last year and kept his red shirt. So it's really nice to. And we heard Coach Klieman and that staff talk about him during preseason and during training camp. Like, this Malik Knowles kid, he's going to be special. And we were like, yeah, okay. On paper he looks special, but can he play? Because he didn't really do much. And he's turning out to be a special player.
He really is. And they wanted to play him at Iowa State, and he and the other guy said, "No, we're not burning our year over a 5th game."
No.
I love the way Coach Klieman's handled this team, and it strikes me that he might be doing things a little bit differently. I'm not sure than what he normally would, because I think the impression he got from the players was they were really beaten down. That Coach Snyder had a way about him. It never really changed, but it just didn't work with this group. And so now he's like, when they make mistakes, he's not climbing up all over them. He's, saying, "Okay, let's play through this. We make mistakes. It happens in a game. Now what are we going to do? Are we going to buckle? Or are we going to fight back?" This team's really taken on a great attitude about these things.
Yeah, you're seeing just the post-game press conferences from coaches and players. Everything's just so positive. And I can't remember exactly the line, but we saw the post-game locker room speech, and it was, Coach Klieman was saying some guys made some mistakes tonight, and we need those guys. It wasn't we had guys made mistakes, and don't feel sorry for yourself and get down on them. It was, no, we need you to elevate your game because we're going to need you later on down the season. And if you're a player, no one feels worse than those guys who made those mistakes and dropped the punts and, struggled on special teams. No one feels worse than those guys. And they know they messed up, and they've caught 1,000 punts before. And let's give those guys a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Those were very, very difficult punts to catch. Those were not routine, and we've dropped some routine ones early in the year, but those ones that games were unique, difficult situations.
Yeah, my fault. My idea was, I don't fault them for dropping the punt. I fault them for attempting to catch those awkward punts.
And so that's where, the black and white coaching tip is you go up and catch the punt.
Right.
Because you don't want to lose field position. But there's got to be a grain of common sense behind that. Whereas, catch it if you can get there, but if you can't, run the other way. And so that's where, the player's trying to do what he's taught, because the rule is you go catch the punt. You fair catch it, and we don't lose field position. And that comes with age, and that comes with maturity, and that comes with, just catching more punts in live situations. So that'll be something easy to clean up, because I think those guys have the physical tools to catch punts. It's just they need to make the better decision of when it gets tipped, when it's shanked. Just get out of the way and take your ball. And, whether we get the ball at the 50 or the 40, doesn't really matter. That's great field position.
Get the ball.
Yeah, get the ball.
Make sure you
don't give it to him 3 times.
It was incredible. All 24 points off of mistakes.
Oh, I was a mess.
It was like, what?
Coach Klieman looked like he was about to throw up on the sideline.
I know. He goes, we've got them in a position to beat Mississippi State in their home field, and we're handing them points on their field.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just glad they won, because I might have thrown up if we didn't.
I know.
Those opportunities don't come.
No, they don't.
And especially as you go into Big 12 play. It is hard to win a football game, and it's really hard to win on the road, and it's really hard to win on the road against a really good team. So when you have that opportunity, you have to take advantage of it. And thankfully, like we said, Malik Knowles and Skylar and co played well enough to put some points on the board. But, yeah, you can't – I tell you, when we go up against a better quarterback, when we go up against you can't give that to you. They'll kill you.
No.
They'll beat you by 40. And so we did not play good enough football to compete at a high level in this conference. And I think everyone knows that, and that's what this next 2 weeks will go towards.
Which is amazing, because
That was an SEC team. It's not like they were making mistakes against, Pac-12 fans, a Pac-12 team. I mean, that's a generally good team.
ACC team.
Yeah. ACC's awful. With one exception, the ACC stinks.
Yes.
But,
a little Boston College KU jab there. So.
That conference. Week off, go to Oklahoma State. What's weird about this, Travis, is they go to Oklahoma State, and then they've got 5 out of 8 at home. I mean, with another off week. It's crazy. And one of the road games is KU. So, I mean, they go to Texas twice, but the rest of the time they're in the state of Kansas.
Oh, yeah. No.
This table's set for something really good.
I looked at the schedule preseason, and like you said, our bye weeks lined up well, our home games lined up well, and even some games that people saw as losses, I was like, well, we beat them last year, like Oklahoma State.
Right.
They were like, well, we can't beat Oklahoma State this year. I was like, well, we beat them last year, and I think we're going to be better than we were last year. And so, I mean, I was on the record as an 8-4 preseason. That was my preseason prediction, which I was being a little optimistic.
That was gutsy.
And I got a lot of grief for it. And I was like, guys, I look at the schedule. I mean, I had losses to Mississippi State, OU, Texas, and Iowa State. And we knocked off Mississippi State, so I just gained another one. and I mean, other than that, I think everyone is beatable, which is...
Well, Iowa State sure is.
Yeah. And so, I mean, obviously Texas and OU are going to be our 2 biggest games down the stretch, our 2 toughest games down the stretch. And whether we're at that level yet, I don't know. And I would be... I mean, just being frank, I'll be shocked if we can find a way to win those games, and we're going to be pretty outmatched. But that, you still got to play the game, and they still got to come out and play. So, I think both those teams are definitely better teams than us as of today, and that's why you practice, and that's why you get better, and that's why you recruit better guys in. So, but no, I see. Yeah, I got made fun of for 8-4, and now there were guys predicting 4 wins, and
I'm still going to make fun of you for it. I know they're going to be. They'll probably win 8 now, but I'm going to make fun of you still.
Yeah.
For making.
Well, I'm a classic optimistic. I always predict a few games more than they probably should.
And I was just being cautious with this team because I didn't really know what to expect. Installing new systems with players that he didn't recruit, and how would this work? My God, it's worked great.
Yeah, they've caught on quicker than I expected, and they've been able to run. I mean, I don't know if this is their full offense, but it's pretty darn close. And they're doing just as much as they were at North Dakota State, and they got the full package in.
Yeah, the answer is no.
The guys picked it up.
They've got other stuff they've installed. They just haven't run yet.
Right.
So it's going to be awfully fun. I'm going to be intrigued as this season progresses if we see the slow build that we saw under Bill Snyder, because I suspect it'll happen, that they'll get a little bit better, because for all of their differences that are easy to see, these 2 coaches are a lot alike.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I'm starting to get frustrated from the fan base on just the whole Snyder-Klieman comparison. I'm like, quit comparing them. They're different human beings.
Right.
It's a different era. It's a different time in this program's history. And they are 90% alike. And that's not a knock to Snyder or a knock to Klieman. That's just they're both blue-collar, hardworking, let's roll our sleeves up and get better kind of guys, which is what you want. And that's what works at this program. And, this whole fan base is like, well, it's still not as good as Snyder because Snyder had less. It's like, well, who cares? Like, do you want us to tank the program and then hire someone and try to get better? It's like, no, Klieman's doing the best he can with the cards he was dealt, and that's all Bill ever did as well. So, fan base, quit comparing the two. Snyder was he was the best man for the job this first time around. He was the best man for the job in 2009 as well.
Yep.
And I think Klieman was the best man for the job in 2019. So.
I agree. It was not an easy job when Ron Prince took over because
that was not the right man for the job.
You really were in his shadow. I mean, he was coming off. The great years were still really tangible to the fan base, and the facilities weren't there yet. Yeah, and you're right. They did a lousy job picking the coach. You go to this one now. The greatness is more distant, although they won a conference title in 2012. Nobody looks back at that run and compares it to 98.
No, I'd agree with that.
And then over the last 6 years or whatever it was, they just were kind of hovering around 500. They kind of slowly unwound. So Klieman's kind of removed farther from that than the first coach was, who I won't name. And the facilities are incredible.
Oh, yeah, we
can complain all we want about John Curry, but the facilities
you
are
can get people
class.
to open up their checkbook.
And, I've said this often. He was the first AD to come around and say, no, we're not going to cut corners. No, we build a deck without restrooms. To build Bramlett's Coliseum bare bones.
Yeah.
K-State just seemed to get by. He was the first one to say, no, we're going to do it right. We're going to do it, And even when Bill Snyder said, I don't want it, he goes, you're going to have it.
Yeah, because that's what we need to continue this program's success long after you're done coaching, Snyder. And that's what's needed to be done for the program at that time.
Now we see it, and now they're going to add the south end zone.
Yeah, which I'm super pumped for that.
I'm super pumped that you're going to donate $1 million. It's going to be the Tannahill south end zone project.
Yeah, we're about $9.9 million short. $990,000 short.
Yeah,
so.
It's okay. Okay. I forgive you.
Sorry, Gene, the check won't clear.
I can write the check. Writing the check's no problem.
Right, I'll even sign it. But
cashing it.
Yeah. Did you notice I was, and I'll be curious to talk to your guys once we talked to them this week. The guys that went actually down to Starksville. But I always like to look at other stadiums. A, when I'm either traveling across the country, or B, just on TV. And I've been to some pretty nice stadiums, and there's none. K-State is on par or nicer than pretty much every stadium I've been to.
Yeah.
And and there's.
I think,
and not size, just because of who we are. We're 2 hours from a major metro area, and we're not, we don't have the luxury of having millions of people 30 minutes away like some of these towns do. And, you look at Mississippi State, and I was like, that looks okay, but it doesn't look nicer than ours.
I think the only other comparable stadium out there, like Oklahoma and Texas, they're big stadiums. Texas has nice stuff, but it's not a great atmosphere. I think the only other stadium I compare it to is TCU, because it is new.
Right.
They really did. And if I'm KU, which I'd feel bad for saying that, I look at that stadium and say, this is what we need to do. We need to save the structure Memorial, but do this. 50,000 seats of this.
Yeah.
And
that's a good number. They have to work hard. It's enough people to have a good atmosphere, and the fans get rowdy, and they can make a difference in the game. Any less than that, that's my problem with TCU. Is it's beautiful, and there's nice stone everywhere, and the finishes are really nice. But I don't know what it holds. But it's not very loud, and there's no home field advantage in that stadium just because of the. I would have bet it's closer to 40 than 50, and from a seating standpoint. So, but no, there's nothing better than the Bill on Saturdays.
It's amazing. And everyone who comes in and experiences is like, wow.
Yeah.
Because it's not impressive empty.
And the tailgating atmosphere, which people forget about. That is so rare to have those parking spots right there. And the tailgate atmosphere is amazing.
And even if they take out 400 parking spaces for the new practice structures, it's still better than what anyone else has.
Yeah, exactly. And, that was always my biggest. When I was a player, I was like, man, what if we could just one of these early non-conference games, we just rotated. Once in your career, you just got to go tailgate and you didn't have to play. I was like, because you just wanted to go tailgate with your friends so bad. And now that I'm out, that's we see you make sure people, they're not having too much fun out there. They need to come in and cheer for the Cats. But no, it's there is nothing. There's just good food and there's friends. I was at a tailgate. Not the Nichols game, and went over to saw a friend, and they'd been there since they were freshmen in college. They met with these. They just were walking, and they offered them a beer, and now here we are, 12 years later, and that's the tailgate they go to every single. And they would not have met other than some guy who had a parking spot was being friendly and giving out free beer and free food to people, and that's their tailgating spot. And so there's a lot of memories and a lot of good camaraderie going on.
That's the K-State way.
Yep.
And I want to go on the record. I'm all for free food.
All for free food. I would agree with that. So
that's Travis Tannahill, the man, the legend, the star of the sample. The other people are just window dressing. This is funny because we're taping this before you tape that, but that will appear on the website before this.
I'm confused.
That makes sense?
Yeah. I'll just see you tomorrow night for another podcast.
That's been your Sources podcast for this week. We're heading into an off week for K-State, so no pregame and certainly no postgame podcast this week. So you better just replay this one over and over and over. And remember, if you're not a subscriber to GoPowercat.com, get that 30% discount. Quit messing around. Get it done. And we will talk to you on Wednesday with our Questions podcast.
You've been listening to the Powercat Sources Podcast presented by Blue Mark Energy. Powercat Podcast. All rights reserved. GoPowercat.com and Spirit Street Publishing.